Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new show we're going to call the Numbed Wasteland. And the reason we're going to call it that is because I'm the Numbskull, and with me is...
At a wasteland. How are you guys doing this fine Saturday?
And what we're going to try and do here is we're going to try and take an open look at different topics that some people have covered way too much, and, well, it's just because it's out there we got to talk about it. So let's get our feet wet with something that most people probably find a little stupid. Wouldn't you say?
Cancerous. Absolutely cancerous.
Oh, I say that's probably a best word for it.
I did the research on this, and my brain is still hurting. I think I've lost IQ points incredibly. I don't even know my name anymore. Is there gravity? Are there satellites?
What is gravity?
The Earth sucks.
Or does it sit?
It sucks.
I don't remember how everything works, but we're gonna have to go through some of this information and figure it all out. But we're joined by some people today. We've got the Malevolent Rider and Jinx out there commenting on my funny-looking skull. Thanks, I appreciate it. It's been dropped a few times. No worries. Trez is in the audience. Daryl's out there. Saki's out there. Who else we got besides the damn bot sitting in there messing up everything? I figured people might still want to mess with the bots just because this is on my channel, so they're on. Gravity is cancer. Yes, magnets. People with heart problems, please don't watch our show. There may be magnets involved. No, Jinx made fun of skulls. Or my skull. I know, it's been dropped.
If you're going to make a drink, make it strong.
Alright, guys. So, tonight's topic, as you probably sort of noticed by our first intro, is going to be that funny flat earth that browsed through. And the funny thing about that flat earth is it's still sticking around. And I think it just wants to be talked about. So we're going to talk about that flat earth today. And here's how I think we're going to do this show to help you guys out. You guys know how I am. I like to approach things from different angles. And Data's got an awful lot of information and places and resources and stuff. So he's going to be the gatherer. And he's going to bring us some crazy shit. And I'm going to try and help make sense of this pile of information, I think. Maybe. We'll see how it goes.
I'm not sure about making sense, but I think we can sort of explain a few things. I mean, first of all, there's got to be a lot of people that believe it because there's a convention on this topic. I mean, when you've got people grouping together and paying for tickets to a flat earth convention, then there's quite a few people out there.
Yeah, I don't remember the last round earth convention I attended. It's been a while, though.
So, yeah, there's quite a few people that believe it. I can understand why they believe it because, I mean, if we go back in history, that was probably the first concept people wrapped their head around.
Now,
I mean, before we thought the Earth was round, a sphere, we thought it was flat because that's what we saw.
Yeah, and it's weird that, I could fully support the flat Earth concept if I walk out my door and look around. Of course, I've been in flat planed areas and I've been in mountainous areas, and when you just go out and wander around, you really can't always tell that the Earth curves any more than the land is curving, and you can always just without that knowledge presume that the curve that you're seeing in the Earth is just the land curving over.
That's pretty funny, Jinx. Jinx says people from all around the Earth go to those flat Earth conventions.
Yeah. It's... Excuse me. Hey, welcome, Tim. It's really weird to some of us looking at the earth possibly being flat, but if you really stop and try to go back at how we look at things, it's completely understandable that somebody might disbelieve information. We have people across the world that are relatively sane for all practical purposes, but they may not believe in vaccines, or they may not believe the earth is round, or they may not believe, black holes exist, or things like that. And it really doesn't affect their daily life, but all of a sudden they start talking about it, and you're like, wait a second, this is like fourth grade, we were spinning the globe. What do you mean it's flat?
The other thing too, and I've run into this on a lot of occasions, even talking about like, single payer healthcare in the United States. When people try to wrap their head around large numbers, billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions, 1,000 billion, which is a trillion, these numbers at some point, there's no basis there's no thumbnail, there's no basis. You can't measure it. You have to break out the calculator, and even then there's no starting point.
And that's right, because I've said this over and over before. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson took it from somebody else, but I'll take it from Neil deGrasse. And that's, if you start counting from the day you're born, and you count to 1,000,000, you're going to be 80, and you'll probably be dying as soon as you get there. Or not 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000. Is it 1,000,000,000? I think it's 1,000,000,000. So to understand the size of these numbers is seemingly impossible to some people, because physically they could never get there on their own.
There's a guy who made a scale model of the solar system, and he did it on a huge salt lake out west. And I mean, the Earth was the size, if I remember correctly, the Earth was the size of like a very large marble, and the sun was a few kilometers away. I mean, we're talking about such huge distances, so much space between. And then, look at the sun. I mean, the sun is so massive, so huge. It dwarfs the Earth. And then you look at us on the Earth. The Earth is so massive, so huge, that we're dwarfed by it. And then if somebody tries to wrap their head around the universe and possible other life, we feel so tiny and so insignificant that maybe our brain just kind of freaks. It hits a limit that it just can't pass.
All right, so in all this, we're gonna try to cover a few seconds here and there in some of these clips that Data gathered. We're gonna look at some of their logic, and we're gonna try and understand it and why they believe it, because it's hard to fight something unless you understand it.
How do I feel about this?
Wars?
Deception. Now it's just kind of funny to me.
To me, this is Satan's greatest lie.
Destruction?
I got a dog. I would throw this thing in your chest. He'll come back with his mouth and it'll all be chewed up.
Death?
I feel that I've been deceived.
Deceived about the Earth?
About everything. I mean, a lot of these people, you understand that even today, even like the normies, you do realize that it is now a known fact that MLK was killed by the FBI, right?
Another show.
That's a known. That's
another show, maybe.
No. I'm just saying that's a fact. That's an absolute.
I haven't looked at it, but I wouldn't doubt it at all. But when you think about the fact that the FBI,
and Princess Diana.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that in the court case in that aspect was found that there was ulterior motives, that wasn't an accident? The what's it called? what's a doctor of autopsy? The coroner's inquest. The coroner's inquest in London found that there was some shadiness going on in Princess Diana's death. Now that was fact in a court case, and none of the media basically reported on that. I mean, it's been happening over and over and over. The stuff that we've been told are lies, and you know, after you've been told that so many things that you thought were true are lies, you know, what's the flat Earth? That's just, you know, hey, that's what I can see with my eyes.
Yeah. Wait, what the hell just happened? The intro restarted. That's crap. Here we go.
We used to think when we got started individually in this that we were alone. We have one thing in common. We live on a flat plane.
They live on a plane? If they live on a plane, how do they think the Earth is flat? I've been on a plane and the Earth doesn't look flat.
Not very good food in second class.
Well, even on a plane, it's a minute amount, but when you travel a good distance and you're up above the clouds, you can start to see the curve of the layers of the clouds.
Dude, there are flat earthers that believe that planes are fake.
You get in them and you magically transport across the planet in just hours while the picture plays through the window.
They can't wrap their head around having hundreds of thousands of pounds of fuel, and they can't wrap their head around it taking such a short time for them to refuel, and they can't wrap their head around a airline spending that much money fueling up a plane. So what did they've come up with? The jet engines don't run on fuel, they run on compressed air, and planes use UFO technology to levitate.
Okay, now that's something we haven't even covered yet. Let me adjust my mic as the sound seems a little off. There we go. That's something we haven't even covered yet. When you look into space and you look at other planetary bodies, they look round. So why must you try to explain the roundness away?
Space doesn't exist to a flat earther. What you're looking at are lights.
So then how can they believe in alien technology if there's no space?
Good one. Well, I'm just giving you
I'm lost.
I'm just giving you an opinion on one guy's interpretation. He believes there's also demon ships creating lightning and clouds in our atmosphere. So I'm not sure exactly where he's going or where he's going to be staying soon.
When you're watching videos at home, it's just you and the screen. And it's lonely. I came here because I needed to see what flat earth people look like.
They look like everybody else, they just don't think like them.
I was about to say that.
Mole people. Are you calling this guy a mole person? He kind of looks like one.
You took the words right out of his mouth.
It must have been while I was dissing him. But
I was not disappointed. They look normal.
Happy the
Very
artist.
few people overweight. About 30% of them are cigarette smokers, and only 4 of them that I met are from around here.
That's because they spread themselves across the planet?
Yeah, across the globe. Oops.
Alright, if the Earth is flat, is it still a planet?
What's a planet?
How do they... Okay, so I'm going to ignore the fact that space is there. and that I see other bodies in space.
No, if the Earth is flat, then everything everything, including all the stars and whatever dots of light you see, all rotate around us. We're the center of the universe.
Okay, so then these people who believe the Earth is flat must also be very religious, then, right? They have to believe that the Earth was created by somebody that made this happen like this.
There are some that believe that. There's some that believe that God created it. There's some believe that we're creatures in a zoo.
Didn't God in the Bible actually state that the world was round?
I think the Bible says a lot of things. I think it said it was round at one point, and I think it said it was flat at another point. Remember, the Bible is not a single book.
No, I know.
It's a creation of about 12 books, and
that's the first one. It's 60.
Never made the cut.
Isn't there like 60 in the full Bible, the New James Version? There's like 60.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that number's a little.
Chapters. I don't know. It might be a little high.
Quite a few didn't make the cut.
Okay. You know, Enrique wasn't in the Bible. Just saying.
Nobody likes this uncomfortable feeling of being this.
Question: why is your flat Earth still round? Did you catch that?
It's round, yeah.
Even the flat Earth I found to use in the beginning of the video, I'm sitting there laughing as I'm downloading it. I'm looking for flat Earth models and going, it's still round. Why?
Well, because it's under a dome, and there are no square domes.
What about an oval dome?
It could be an oval.
We all live in the biodome, folks. Are you ready for this?
A real quick way to prove that the Earth isn't flat, if you go around the North Pole and you go around what they think is the South Pole, and you're about as far away from either pole, then if the Earth was flat, it would take you.
I like that, a Thunderdome.
20 times longer to go the outside perimeter than the inside perimeter, but in actuality, it's about the same length of time.
All right, so let's ask, as I kick back and try to, I gotta relax. I think I'm hurting myself. I'm gonna put my feet up here. Okay. If the Earth isn't a globe, how do they still believe in the poles?
Well, the pole, that's a good question. I mean, the North Pole is in the center, and when they say the South Pole is actually the border around the whole. So, in other words, Antarctica is actually a wall of ice that keeps everything on the flat Earth. Okay. And that's why. And here's a little caveat. This is what they always throw in. Since it's all the way around the Earth, that's why all the countries are there. They've all been to Antarctica because it's everywhere you point.
Okay, so, how then? What? All right, north. How would there? Okay, we're going back to the video. Teach me something. I'm lost. I'm just completely lost right now.
That's the thing. I mean, it starts unraveling because, the more you look and the more you find and the more there is, the more you have to explain, and that's where it sort of falls all apart. And frankly, I mean, I remember going to Utah, driving to Utah, and in Wyoming. Wyoming is a very long, flat state, and it's desert. So there's not a lot of trees blocking your view. It's big sky country, and there are highways there that you could literally let go of the steering wheel for hours and not turn one way or another.
Oh my God, you do not have to tell me. And this is a bad idea, guys. Do not set your cruise control in a 70-mile-an-hour straight road state because you will fall asleep.
Well, I mean, I remember seeing the tips of the Rocky Mountains come up over the horizon, and then see more and more and more, and then I mean, be awestruck, being 50 miles away and seeing this massive mountain range, and then, you know, getting closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I see this lone Coors sign, because the Coors manufacturing center was right off the highway there, and passing it and then driving through the mountains. So I mean, I saw the curve of the earth. Maybe these people haven't traveled.
I have been to the Atlantic, I have been to the Pacific, and I can't say that if I haven't been in a plane or off the planet or had education on the fact that the world is round, then I wouldn't believe otherwise. I found something fun to show. This is what they must believe the planet is like. I probably can't make that much
Water
bigger.
off the edge?
Yeah. This is Asgard from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, remember, what keeps the water in and what keeps everybody from falling off is the Antarctic ice wall.
Which would mean you still believe that there's nothing out in space but cold, frigid air, which turns the water to ice. And how do...
There are people, some of them think, because the Bible said so, that the dome and the firmament is water also. In other words, the water gets poured from the top, it goes along the dome, and then fills our oceans and circulates that way, and that's why the sky is blue.
Oh, I feel so intelligent now. Let's go back to Flat Earth Cardboard Guy. If anybody does experience a little bit of lagging, I do apologize. The reason for that is to host this show, I have to change my graphics settings. And I'm giving it a shot. I'm playing with different features, but for now I just got to play with the settings until I get used to the new show. So let's hit play.
Tiny ball flying through
Tiny ball flying through space.
space, you know, this vast, endless universe. So as far as what's underneath this, I don't know, could be this thickness. It doesn't even have to be that thick, because we can only drill down 8 miles. Heck, if this is only 50 miles thick, we don't know. So it could be this sort of dimension. But don't take my word for it. I could be a mental patient recently released from an institution.
Can we quote you on that?
I think we don't have to. We've got it on video.
He could be a mental patient recently released from the hospital, guys. And he's telling us...
Steps. He must be doing something right.
He's telling us that the Earth is 50 miles thick because we've only drilled 8 miles deep.
Yeah,
Are you fucking stupid?
And when we drilled that deep, we started hearing the hounds of hell.
Oh yeah, there is that. We're gonna have to cover that one of these days on this show. That is so cool. Not the hounds of hell, but the hell hole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, if nobody in the chat has heard about the hell hole, that is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Nobody's.
Go ahead.
I said nobody's explained it.
It's There's a
I'm-
hellhole with the
I'm-
fires burning. Yeah, I gotta press play. We can't get off topic like that because this is a whole show by itself.
Once I decided that I had to go with it being flat based on my gut feeling and common sense evidence, then I was looking around to see who was making a working model of the flat Earth, and I couldn't find him anywhere.
I
Now that's something you're going to hear over and over and over about gut, common sense. Well, it just seems to me. Well, how can this be? And they could be like, you could tell them that there are pages of math that'll explain it, and they will just glaze over that and say, yes, but this is what I believe because this is what I feel in my gut is right.
Oh, what does that tell you? Feelings. All right.
Again,
a mile is what? 5,248 feet. All right, let's do this.
We've been
How
lied
many
to.
miles is 10,994 meters?
The answer is 6.83 miles.
The depth of the ocean is 10,994 meters. Siri, how many miles is 10,994 meters?
That would be 6.83 miles.
Alright, so the ocean depth is almost the complete depth of the planet then.
Well, in one spot. There is one spot that is that deep. It's not that deep everywhere. We're talking about the
explorable
Marinara
ocean.
Trench.
Yeah, but do we know how deep the Great Trench is? It's in the Atlantic Ocean, right? There's a Great Trench that I don't think we've been down to the bottom of because we don't have anything that'll actually get to the floor of the ocean.
It's the Pacific. We did have, a matter of fact, a Captain Picard took a submersible all the way to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
To boldly go where no one has gone before. The Marianas Trench, though, that's the one.
Yeah, that's him. It was a kind of a crazy thing. They had a situation where they had a window crack during it, and it sounded so loud they thought they weren't going to make it.
Siri, execute Order 66.
Okay, I found this on the web for
Nothing.
execute order 6.
Execute Order 66.
Okay, I found it.
Execute Order 666.
Okay,
Nope.
I found.
Nothing, guys. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, apparently Siri's sorry too. I did not ask for that. I'm putting you down. Shit. It's listening to me when I'm not talking to it. Let's get back to the video.
Chris is a professional flat Earth model artist.
Oh.
I guess I was the chosen one or the calling because I had the skills to do this. I just put some ice in here because the sun, as it goes around, pretty much keeps this area melted.
Okay, hold on then. All right. So the center of the flat, round Earth is the magnetic North Pole. And then anything around the edge would be the south?
Yes.
Okay.
But don't you dare pull out a compass.
I'm just checking. Compasses point north, they don't point south, so.
Well, I've watched over 50 hours of video.
I watched 50 hours of video. So have I. I want my shield. I want my claws. I want my adamantine. I want my laser jet. I want my fighters. I want my I want my sword. What is the freaking Jedi sword called?
I want my mommy. What?
I wanna build a house out of Legos by tapping the ground with my stick.
I want to get through this.
I've watched way more than 50 hours of video. I want to call the lightning to my hammer.
Press play.
I gotta find the play. I can't see.
So I went down
Whoops.
to the seashore, down in New Jersey,
Me too.
and I did my own testing.
What sort of testing?
So you take a straight edge, and you go from one end, and you follow the horizon of the ocean, and you go straight edge just to the other end, and it's flat.
There you go.
Your brain is now flat.
But see, there you go. That's that thing. I mean, how can you describe what 9,000 miles looks like to somebody like that?
All right, so anybody that's driven long distances, mostly Americans, sorry, foreigners, but you don't get to see this like some of us do in the Midwest. You can see on a flat road for, I don't know, what is it, about 40 or 50 miles before sometimes the heat of the sun starts to blur it out.
Well, yeah, that's...
On a good day, you can see a good maybe 75 or 100 miles if you're, you know, if the land is right and the day isn't too hot and it's clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You can see a good 75, 100 miles. Okay? You're not going to see a curve of a 27,000 mile around globe over 75 miles.
Well, you will. It just looks flat.
Yeah. Oh, but little do you all know. Let's pick the next one to also be a short one. That's 15 minutes. That one is 20. That one's 22. We're going the wrong way here.
Well, we don't have to see it all. We can cut through a little bit of it.
Let's randomly pick a spot in this 15-minute video that looks interesting. Oh, they start with the flatness of the earth. Okay, let's look there. We'll press play. Warning, do not federally reproduce this video.
My name's Andrew, and I love God.
I'm NumbedSkull.
I'm a born-again man who has the Spirit of God. I don't like labels, but I must say that in 2016, I became a biblical flat earther.
Oh,
now,
shit!
Before you call me nuts or absurd or off of my rocker, just...
I don't think you knew how to find the rocker. Here's the question.
Now you see the picture he's showing here?
Absolutely.
Now, if you notice, when the camera spins, sometimes the Earth is in the center, sometimes the Earth is a little below, and sometimes the Earth is a little above center.
I also noticed the...
this is his proof that all cameras that are launched into this altitude are fisheye lenses. Play it and you'll see what I mean.
Know that I believed in the globe ball Earth model for 29 years of my life. Basically, my entire life.
See that? Bending up, and then it's bending down, and then it's bending up.
You still see...
yeah,
the curve must be trained into my mind, right? I must have been indoctrinated for all of those years of school to believe that the curve is there.
The curve is the fisheye, and when the line is below the center point, it curves up, and when the line is above the center point, it curves down. That's his proof.
What does that say? What happened after you became 30? Oh, shit.
Up until 6 months ago. When I first heard the term flat earth, I laughed and mocked and called anyone who believed that the earth was flat was crazy as hell.
Do you understand why you did that? And
see, and I wouldn't do that. I mean, I don't think I'd call somebody crazy for believing what they believe. It's just a different perspective.
I want to try something. I'm going to take my volume bar here, which is flat on the top and the bottom, and I'm going to match it up here. Does anybody see something? It's flat right there, right? So the earth must be flat. No, don't. Hold on.
So this video, he breaks it down into the 5 top reasons, and he'll have a title image for each one. So if you want to move it through to those, and then the next video is a debunk on those same 5 top reasons.
My top 5 reasons I no longer believe in the globe earth model.
The top 5 reasons that I no longer believe in the globe ball earth in 2016.
Can't even read his own damn words!
Number 1. Space is fake. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Did you know that there is no...
Blue ball.
Hey, if the Red Hot Chili Peppers said it, it must be true. This is where he goes through all these pictures are photoshopped. Now he's got a point. A lot of these pictures are photoshopped. There's one picture that we know isn't photoshopped, the one that was taken in the Apollo. But a lot of these others.
I have a question for those who do believe in the flat earth. Do you believe that there is any way that we can physically show you that while the earth could look flat no matter what angle you're at from it, the round edges and the fact that the landscape changes means that it's moving? There is no way right now to show you physically and accurately and without a doubt that the earth is round.
Actually, there is.
Well, if we launch you into space to let you look down and realize that it's round, you're only going to see the flat surface. You're only going to see 2 dimensions.
Nope. You know the tower in Dubai?
Yes.
The new one that's the tallest tower in the world?
It's like 2.4 miles tall or something like that. No, it's 1.4 miles or something.
It's friggin' huge. And you know Ramadan, right?
Yeah.
So the Muslims, they fast until evening, until the sun sets. And when the sun sets, they can eat. Well, the rooftop restaurant in that building has special tables. Do you know why?
Because the sun sets like 2-point-something minutes later at the top of the building than at the bottom.
Exactly. And that wouldn't happen in a flat earth situation. There you go. That's complete, utter proof.
Maybe there's a mountain. There's got to be a mountain in the way. The sun's just setting behind a mountain as it goes around the edge of the planet.
Desert. The sun sets. If the sun sets on a flat earth, then it sets on a flat earth. If it sets on a flat earth, no matter where it is, once it goes below the edge, it's out.
I'm sure there's an explanation for that if we looked hard enough for it. I'm sure we could find their explanation for how the sun proceeds over the edge and doesn't match.
Well, maybe the extension cord on the light isn't long enough and it just gets pulled. Play the video, Num.
Let's play that
A
video.
real true photo of the Earth from space.
Taking a
We're taught
drink.
that these images
What am I
are,
supposed to do?
but even NASA themselves openly admit that all these images are done in Photoshop. They are composite computer-generated images. And if you look close, you can see all the discrepancies in each of them. How some of the continents do not match up in size, and how the
You kind of blew it on that one because that's not the United States on the right.
No, it is. It's the angle he has it at. He is over Mexico in the one on the right, and you're over South America.
No, he's showing Africa on the right, and then it's United States and South America on the left. That's Africa. It's just he's drawn it kind of screwed up. He's like added clouds where land is and stuff like that.
Gee, and you wonder why they have to composite them together.
The clone tool was used to create the clouds. NASA even took the liberty to...
This is actually kind of interesting, and look at it. That you can't deny. You see that, right?
Yeah, I do.
That's why I say that some of this stuff has been photoshopped.
All right,
but
and I will go with that because if you get on Google Earth and you get really curious and know where to look, you still can't find certain shit.
Right. I mean, and sure, I agree that that's a Photoshop picture. Those are identical cloud formations that are copied and pasted next to each other. That doesn't prove Earth.
Have you ever... This isn't... I hate to keep going back to Google. Fuck you, Google. However, if you go down to Google Streets View, have you ever sat there and done one of the Google Street walks along? And think about the size of the planet and the position of the satellite and the speed at which the satellite is traveling and the number of pictures that it's taking. And when you start overlaying certain pictures together, that cloud formation might be the exact same cloud formation moved by 5 seconds of the satellite's trajectory versus the Earth's movement.
Yeah,
and it might just be overlaying the picture because of the placement of the clouds.
Yeah, but have you ever seen clouds like move in a speeded up, in a time?
Yes,
what is it?
I've done those. The stop motion.
They tend to morph. They don't move as complete like that. They morph. And listen,
it takes time for them to morph. And you're watching, hold on, Bo. You're watching clouds morph from a perspective position where you're watching the clouds move and morph over your head as they go by. This is an overhead position. And judging by the looks, the distance between the squares and the image notes on here isn't huge. And depending on Coriolis effects, I could probably overlay a Coriolis line to match up these groupings.
It could be, yes.
It could be as simple as, again, perspective when you're taking that picture.
Right. But the point too is, look at if this is a picture at a particular time or at a particular group of time. So in other words, from let's say 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at this particular location, you would think now most of those pictures are like at the same angle and the same distance, but then you have a few others that are way off. I mean, again, this could be a compilation. It could be, it could very well be, a little bit of Google, a little bit of artistic license.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's not.
Right, but that doesn't prove shit.
I'm just also stating having been somebody who has taken stop motion pictures and knows how photography works and also has looked a little bit about everything, when you're looking at taking a picture, as much as a couple of seconds for cloud movement is a lot of time.
Yeah, but that's hundreds of miles. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You know, that would be an explanation of those. But again, you can't take that as an island, that, you know, and say, okay, that's why all these globe pictures are fake.
Yeah, but again, think the planet is spinning 27,000 miles per 360-degree rotation. So it's moving at, what, 1/24th? It's moving at a little over 1,000 miles per hour. The satellite is also moving at a bit over 1,000, probably upwards of 1,500 miles per hour to maintain the speed it needs to maintain orbit. If they're moving in opposition, a split second of a video film could cause this kind of delay.
Well, you know, weather satellites are usually in geostationary orbit, so they're literally like affixed to a location. But anyways,
okay, and that would make this harder to believe.
You'll really enjoy the next shot.
Photoshop the word sex into one such cloud formation. This can be noticed when flipping their composite upside down and zooming in. Were they bored? Or is this the calling card of Disney, as we've seen them do such similar subliminal messaging in such children?
Disney write sex in your clouds?
So yeah, that's also something, you know, people, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but there's a lot of hidden stuff you find in pictures, advertising, and
it's less and less common these days because they've gotten rid of the people who used to do it. It used to be a joke that they'd hidden in there for the adults. If they caught it, it was cool. It was like an Easter egg kind of thing now. And then it was now the kids are starting to catch it, and the parents are getting too aware of it, and we're offending people. You got to stop putting those in there.
Nuggets, I love it.
The Earth is flat. Aliens are in your brain. Fuck our lives. We are spinning out of control through space, or are we actually stationary in an invisible gravity blanket held together by massive bodies? I want to hold bodies together.
Maybe. No.
I don't know. Could you repeat the question?
Movies as The Lion King, Entangled. I'm coming to find that NASA and Disney have a lot in common.
Okay, you can push forward a little bit.
Every aspect of space footage is fake. We've seen water bubbles in footage, and other discrepancies such as flimsy hatch lids, which clearly show this is not real whatsoever. Footage from the ISS is easily faked using a green screen and what is known as a zero-G.
A shade. A sunshade, but anyways.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, and here's a little proof he wants to show, where he shows this building on the opposite side of the lake, and he shows that you can still see it, and you shouldn't be able to see it, but he neglects to mention that you can't see the bottom 300 feet.
Yeah, I love how they do that. Oh, you can still see the building, but the bottom's gone. Yeah, but the top is still there.
Yeah, the top's there also because of there's this thing where the layer of air that is right up against the surface of the Earth is a little thicker than the air that's above it, so light tends to bounce off of it.
Yeah. Lighthouses prove it without a doubt.
In water.
Oh, if I don't listen, will that make it easier for me to take all this in?
Pretty
Pause
much.
to read. I'm not pausing to read. I'm not.
No, you continue on. Here's where he kind of breezes over the math.
No curve at 121,000 feet high. Atlantic balloon cam reveals the flat Earth.
Again, you know, you can only see so far.
Okay, and I will tell you, at the height where you're at clouds, you can see the clouds curve. in a plane, when you get up into where you're crossing the clouds, you can literally see the bottom curve, and then as you get over top, you can sort of see how they sit down on a certain level.
That picture is a fisheye because that is not flat. That is actually concave.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get my...
Because it is below the center point, and it's actually concave. That is a slightly fish-eyed lens.
Yep, that's exactly... You can't see that on your side, but the live view can see. I've got a flat window on there. That's, that curves up. That's concave. That's fisheye. Quit being fisheye on us.
So, move forward.
Detailed video called Flat Earth. A mountain of is none at all. The only reason to doubt this fact is from false curvature that you've been shown in many aspects, and we must not forget the mass deception shown to us from evil corporations such as NASA and even our own public schooling systems, or as I like to call them, the indoctrination centers.
Like I said,
along comes Einstein to the rescue.
Stop.
Experiment.
Maybe I went to school for so long I just have a hard time believing the truth about this flat Earth thing.
Well, you know, he has a point. You know, the educational system isn't really teaching critical thinking. It's regurgitation of facts from old books. And a lot of the facts are already, you know, disproven, and new facts are replacing them. So, I mean, in that aspect, you know, if you believe that the educational system is run by the elitists, they basically want a nice dumbed-down population that's just smart enough to work and not complain.
No, they're just smart enough to go, yes, okay, and not question.
Right.
No, what did you just... Lenugs, what did you give me? I don't know. I'll figure it out in a minute. One thing at a time. One thing
Also
at a
found
time.
this as well. When the experiment found out that the Earth was not spinning, along comes Einstein to the rescue to make up his theory of relativity, which is just a theory and has never been fully proven.
Oh, it actually has.
An object in motion stays in motion unless an object with equal or greater motion...
That's not the theory of relativity.
That's not relativity. That's the motion. That's the something of laws of motion.
And E equals MC squared is not relativity either. But anyways, next. Keep going.
This is...
Yes.
I feel stupider. The theory of relativity wraps all of these errors and fallacies and clothes them in the magnificent mathematical garb that fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind with the underlying errors. The theory is that like a beggar clothed in purple, who ignorant people take for a king, and the exponents with are very brilliant men, but they are metaphysicists rather than scientists. Nikola Tesla. Yeah, and look how far Tesla got. He's a smart guy, but all of his inventions are so far before their time we can't make them.
Ares' failure was an experiment that was none. Make no mistake.
Didn't you know that the reason we have electricity today, Tesla invented it. Tesla invented alternating current.
Yeah, I understand the direct current, alternating current thing and how that all works, but he did design a lot of stuff that he theorized and tried to design. Tesla is...
I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that believe that
he was a brilliant man.
Well, no, a lot of people believe that a lot of his stuff is actually the reason that it isn't brought to light is because it would flip energy and big money on its ear.
Yeah. And
so
there's
anyways,
also the point that there's a few things that I think that were so brilliant that we can't quite make them yet. There was a couple of his ideas that were just
You must
ahead.
research something is Flat Earth on your own, and I'd love for you to learn the top 5 reasons why I became a biblical Flat Earther in 2016.
You're a bitch.
I think he may have actually been able
The
to
Michelson Morley Earth was not spinning.
on Earth.
Say that one more time.
I said I actually believe that he probably figured out a way to tap into the electricity produced by the spinning Earth that would give us unlimited electricity without a power plant.
As long as you
But
were
anyways,
on
go
Earth.
ahead. Huh?
I said as long as you
Because
were on
the Earth
Earth.
is a big generator. The Earth is a big generator.
Yeah.
Telescopes have to be very slightly tilted to get the starlight going down the axis of the tube because the Earth...
I want to play that video game right there. I want to catch the starlight in the little tube.
Yeah, actually, that isn't the case. The tilt and all that's BS. But anyways, all you have to have is a...
The reason they tilt the scope is because it's easier than looking straight the fuck up.
I mean, hell, if he had a telescope, he could point it to the moon and literally watch it move by. Yeah. But anyways.
Around the sun. Airy filled the telescope with water that greatly slowed down the speed of the light inside the telescope and found that he did not have to change the angle of the telescope. This showed that the starlight was already coming in at the correct angle so that no change was needed. This demonstrated...
Or maybe light changes the refraction in water.
Yeah, the whole premise is bullshit, okay? Because he didn't slow down the light photons from the speed of light to anything remarkably slower. But anyways, go on.
That it was the stars moving relative to a stationary Earth, and not the fast orbiting Earth moving relative to the comparatively stationary stars. If it was the telescope moving, he would have had to change the angle. Another strange fact I'd never considered is the fact that airplanes...
I'm still confused on how the fuck that works.
Listen, that it doesn't matter because it's been proven that we're moving through the galaxy because, you know, people have been looking through telescopes and taking photographs for a very long time, and they can literally show where certain stars have moved more or less than other stars have moved more or less, and we're actually moving along in the universe. And the same thing when it comes to planets. Planets just don't go in a circle, they go into loops. Well, the only way to explain the loop is because we're on a spinning globe. But anyways, next.
I'm trying. Oh, this damn thing.
We are on instead of a ball. With the enormous amount of others coming awake to the globe deception, they are launching many more high-altitude balloons to see what we can find out on our own. We are finding that the sun is much closer, indicated with a hot spot underneath where it is, which is a clear indicator that is not 93 million miles away, as we're told. In fact, the number...
Okay. Oh, no.
93 million miles away. You hear how big that is?
It's not just that. How big is our dome?
Oh, these guys believe that every rocket that's been launched bounces off of it.
So...
that's why space is fake.
V'ger is floating around, bouncing off the dome, then? The
Who?
Voyager 1.
Oh,
It's a Star Trek joke from Voyager 1.
What was that? What was that other one? That movie where the guy gets off the plane in like Venezuela. He's working for what the hell was it? The Peace Corps, and he looks up and he goes, "Shit, we must be 5 miles from the sun." Okay, come on, let's get through this because
it's already 8. We should.
Number 93 really has a lot of Masonic ties and is simply a number found in Jewish gematria, which they love to use when fooling the masses.
Where did you get Jewish? That said Hebrew. I don't believe you anymore because it said Hebrew, not Jewish, and you didn't give me any supporting facts that says Hebrew is part of Judaism.
Right. Well, gotta pull it from everywhere, right?
Oh, let's look at another one of these because this one really is boring the hell out of me. Remove the at. 5 debunked. We're
Hey
not
guys,
doing 20
I've been doing a
minutes.
lot of comparison videos recently, and I thought it would be a good idea to try something different for a video. Don't worry, this isn't the end of comparison videos. I've actually got one coming out on Friday, hopefully.
No.
But the Earth is flat. So let's debunk it.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and I love God.
It's the same one, but he's going to debunk each point.
Alright, play.
This image was taken by the crew of the Apollo 17 spacecraft, and it's not a composite. They got the whole planet in one photo. And for the part where he shows North America being in a different size in 2 different images, I wouldn't say that's a fair comparison to make, because in the 2 images you're looking at completely different parts of the Earth. Look at the 2007 image. You can see all of South America in it, and in the 2012 version, it's looking from a completely different angle. You can barely even see parts of South America. The 2007 version is clearly showing less of the North American continent than the second image.
So question! How do you show more or less of a continent if the planet is flat?
Right, exactly.
How do you show more or less of the planet if it's flat?
You figured it out. We're not on a globe, and we're not on a flat Earth. We're on
we're on a flat
dome.
Earth with the.
We're on half a grapefruit.
Okay, we're in half a grapefruit, and within the half a grapefruit, the time-space dilation field on the outer edges of our flat planet
Beam me up, Scotty.
causes everybody's life to be condensed. So you're going to weigh more at the outer edges of the planet than you will at the North Pole.
Next.
Wait, are we flying on a giant nipple? Nope, that's what this is right here. Look, giant nipples, harness and all.
I don't know if you realise this, but the woman and her surroundings are actually in a freefall. When you're in a space station, or any other satellite for that matter, you're constantly falling towards Earth. The gravity at the altitude of the ISS is almost the same as the gravity on the surface. So why didn't astronauts just plunge to the ground? What happens is when rockets get to space...
Hold on. I didn't hear that right. The gravity on the ISS is the same as the gravity on Earth.
But the ISS is falling.
I'll give him that. That he is right on.
Yeah, it's constantly falling, so it's nulled out.
You're absolutely right. The ISS is constantly falling millimeters per second. And it's constantly trying to correct that as it falls.
More than that, because it's got to follow the curve of the Earth.
Well, in that respect, it's not falling.
It's not millimeters a second because it's moving hell. It's moving at
No. In addition to the speed that it has to move to go around the globe, being real for a moment. In addition to the speed that it has to move to go around the globe, the weight that it has, its gravity, its pull from the planet Earth, causes the space station to come closer to the planet with every rotation. And no matter how hard it fights, that space station is still moving inwards, and it uses fuel to keep its distance away.
Are you debunking the debunker?
I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing anymore with this. This is so confusing. All right, how do flat earthers show you more than one image that are real, but then say that the rest of the images are doctored, but then go on to explain that the images being used can't be used because they're comparing different angles and don't show the whole continent? So by that logic, you should be able to get a picture of everything.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to.
The whole point is a flat earther believes those pictures are fake.
Excuse me.
Remember, they believe that the North Pole is in the center. And it's flat. So those images are all photoshopped. You know, and sex is written in the clouds.
And on the rope, and in the trees, and...
Come on, press play.
Oh, I'm just randomly
companies
picking
associated
places.
with them. Don't you also think it's funny how none of the people associated with NASA have slipped and said that it's all fake? I do. Also, even if NASA or another space organisation was caught faking footage, wouldn't that only prove that space travel is fake and not space itself?
Number 2. There is no curve. Last time I checked, a ball shape has to have a curve somewhere. But in fact, once you truly look, you will find none anywhere.
The Earth's radius is 3,955 miles. So where's the curvature gone? Okay, if the radius is just shy of 4,000 miles, how is the circumference just over 27,000 miles?
There's none. The proof of this is in objects that can be seen from certain distances over water.
$50 miles.
Well,
That's about right. Wait, hold on. What were we saying when you traveling down a road? If it's not hot and if it's clear, you can get a good 50, 75 on a really, really good day, maybe close to 100 miles of visibility.
The debunker's going to kick in right now and take a little picture of that building and place it on that picture and show you how much of the building is missing.
At first, this is a convincing argument, but if you look closely, it's pretty easy to debunk in this case. That tall building on the left is called Willis Tower. It's about half a kilometre to the very top. Let's get another image of the tower and compare it to the one in the video. Putting the second image over the original and... it looks like the base of the building has dipped below the horizon after all. For the next part of the video he goes on about a couple of other examples of tall things at great distances, but forgets the elevation of the camera, so it's not really worth talking about them.
The only reason to doubt this fact is from false curvature that you've been shown in many aspects, and we must not forget the mass deception shown to us from evil corporations such as NASA.
No, I'm not entirely sure if that image is using a fisheye lens, but if it was, don't you think it's weird that parts of the station seen in the photograph aren't distorted as well? And even if you did prove that all the images of Earth are fake, that doesn't prove that the Earth isn't round, only that the images of the Earth are fake. We would have still had loads of other ways of proving the Earth is a globe. Heck, the ancient Greeks were able to prove the Earth was round, and look at the level of technology they had back then. So really, you flat earthers should have gone extinct thousands of years ago.
And even our own public school...
Isn't that what I said? I think I played
Yes.
that for too long. I won't mention it. Let's skip ahead. We'll go for maybe another 20 minutes. Make this an hour and a half on
theory
that.
of relativity,
I don't need to get much stupider than I am. Maybe just a little.
Is just a theory and has never been fully proven.
What you're forgetting here is that a scientific theory is different from just a normal theory. A scientific theory is essentially a statement that has got a lot of evidence to support it, and relativity has got evidence to support it. In fact, I don't think you would actually be able to put your video up on the internet without relativity having been discovered and measured, so be grateful for it. Once again, I'll leave some links below and make another video on this in the future, because this video
Gotta make sure we pause it every few minutes.
is getting quite long. So now that we've established
seconds.
relativity is 100% real, the Michelson-Morley experiment can be explained with the Earth spinning. Relativity states that the speed of light is constant, so no matter how fast you're travelling, light will always be moving at 300,000 kilometers per second relative to you. So if the Earth is spinning, it makes absolutely no difference to the results of the experiment.
Aries failed.
Except, well, yes.
You know what E equals MC squared stands for, right?
It's the mass of an object, or the speed something moves because of the mass.
E is the energy, equals M mass, and C is the constant speed of light times itself.
So the amount of energy needed for something to move at the speed of light.
The amount of energy that is within a mass. In other words, atomic bombs. The amount of energy within the mass of uranium.
failure was an experiment that proved
it's way over my head because I sat and tried to do this once, and if you look, there's a couple videos. You can start to break the math down, but as you start to do the math, realize that the letter E doesn't just represent E, it actually represents a mathematical equation. MC squared represents a breakdown like a 7-level math equation where you have to go through each one and figure out what that all means. It's not as simple as it sounds.
That's the resolution, the resolve of multiple levels of math.
Yeah. It's complicated.
that the heavenly bodies are in motion, while we are not, using telescopes with water. Telescopes have to be very slightly tilted to get the starlight going down the axis of the tube because the Earth's speed around the sun.
I myself am an amateur astronomer and work with telescopes all the time. I've pointed a telescope directly up and I can still see stars. Our orbit around the sun is completely irrelevant when observing stars like that.
Airy filled the telescope with water that greatly slowed down the speed of the light inside the telescope.
Are you joking? The speed of light in a vacuum is 300,000 kilometers a second, and the speed of light in water is still more than 2/3 that. So whether or not it's in water, light still moves incredibly fast. To slow down the speed of light to the extent you would need to carry out this experiment, you would need to fill your telescope with the Bose-Einstein condensate, which is impossible. So since this argument has already been disproven, let's move on to the next one.
Another strange fact I'd never considered.
Are actually moving with the Earth, but relative to the ground are moving to their destination.
Number 4. Water. The nature of water is always flat when left unmanipulated. It always finds its level. It never curves.
Oh, here we are talking about photoshopping, and you've got a car on water.
Or bends. The only time it does so is with what's called surface tension, and surely surface tension doesn't have waves like our oceans do. It's called water level.
What was that?
If it was a large enough ball of water and there was wind, there would be waves.
Yeah. Blow across the top of a cup full of water.
For a reason, and not water curval. No matter what container it is in, water will always remain flat.
What you're forgetting is that there's a huge difference between the containers shown in the video and the Earth. Do those containers have gravity strong enough to have any influence on the water at all? No, but the Earth does. When somebody says water is always flat, in the case of the Earth, what they actually mean is that the level of water...
The level of water. See, that's still... Maybe I'm indoctrinated. That looks like a curve to me. Maybe I just see a curve because I know it's there.
You know, how do you explain the tides?
Logically, it's the waxing and waning of the moon, the ebb and the what the hell is the other word? The ebb and the something of the tide.
The pull of gravity from the moon and the lack of gravity from the moon will make water dome.
There's data. You'd be the one I'd be yelling out for the answer. What's the other word? There's the ebb and there's two words for the movement of the tide. There's the ebb, and that's the moving in, and then the moving out of a tide. There's another word for.
Ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow.
Ebb is when it stops. Flow is when it's moving. At one point, the tide stops at its total height, and it's at its total lack of height. And that also, I mean, if we're not on a sphere, then why is it when you're up north in Maine, the tides are 27 feet up and down, and when you're in Miami, the tides are only 3 feet up and down?
There's a lot of little things, and when you can travel around and look at them from where you are, they don't seem like anything. But looking at them from the different points of view altogether, you start to realize that, hey, the world's not flat.
That's why I don't really. I mean, they're not as crazy. They're just. It's just perspective. You know, it's the way they see things from their perspective. Maybe they've never been in a plane. Maybe they've never traveled outside their town. You know, that's a good possibility, you know. And only experience can show them the way.
Oh, now I know what Data sent me as I glance over. It's the Flat Earth rocket launch, the legend of Mad Mike Hughes. The guy who... Is this the guy who tried to launch himself up at the end of March?
I didn't send you that.
No, or not Data. Somebody in the chat sent it to me earlier. Nugs.
Probably the guy who tried to make a steam-powered rocket.
Yeah.
He almost killed himself.
Yeah.
Steam
doesn't have that much power.
He could have just went to the nearest tallest building.
Jumped. Yeah, just jump. Go on and jump. When you realize you're moving faster as you get closer to the bottom, that's a gravity.
Again, it's scary because they're convincing themselves of something, and then they're convincing others. And the others, I mean, I saw this one, the kid must have been no older than maybe 17, 18 years old. And he's so convinced there'd be no talking to him.
Yeah. Well, I think we should start getting ready to wrap this up one way or another, though, because it feels like it's getting late for me. I'm not used to doing these evening shows yet. This is going to take me some getting used to, guys. How is everybody in the chat? I want to take a few minutes and say hello to those who stuck around with us for a little over an hour talking about one of the dumbest, perspectively dumbest topics we probably could have found to start with. But
did we lose?
What was that?
Did we lose anybody?
We got a couple people out there. It's been up and down during the stream. But then again, if you want to get technical, I have 3 meters, and several times during the stream, they don't all read the same numbers, so I honestly don't know how many people are out there. With that being said, I see Daryl is still there. I want to thank Saki and Ryder, and Bullwinkle stopped in for a little while, I see.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for spending their time with us, their valuable time with us.
Yeah. Doesn't it? Doesn't your brain hurt just a little bit having to try and look at this and understand it and try to look at it and then go, okay, but I know this.
There is so much more. It's scary.
And just remember, you know, maybe we need to remind people to buy globes. Oh, I don't know. When I was a kid, I remember seeing a lot of globes, but then there was this point where globes started to get really cool, and you started to see like the 3D textured globes, and then all of a sudden globes stopped being a thing. Was that the Flat Earther movement? Removing globes from the classrooms? Removing globes from the globe? Or did we sell them all to China?
Maybe the teachers were sick of the kids taking the globe and spinning it as fast as they possibly could.
Oh, we used to have fun with it. You're supposed to take the holder off the bottom, and you spin the globe from the ring that holds the one side, and then you drop the globe on the floor and watch it roll away.
There you go.
That
now you know
fun.
why
We broke a few of them. The cheap ones break easy.
You were the reason for Flat Earth.
I am the reason for Flat Earth. There was no illustration globes left in the classroom. Alright guys, as we're winding down, again I want to say thank you for joining us on the first episode of the Numbed Wasteland. We will be back next Saturday night at 7 with hopefully something a lot more exciting. We have a list of ideas to work through. This being the first show, it was kind of a rough draft. See how it goes, see what happens, see who shows up and what ideas we get, and give it a dry run, see how much time we need, things like that. So afterwards, if you come back and watch it, feel free to please leave us tips and info in the details and description or wherever, however you want to, whatever, hit buttons, shit like that.
Or visit us on the Discord.
Yeah, or visit us on Discord. There should be a link somewhere in there. With that being said, I got a copyright on the original music I had for the intro and the outro, and in creating new music, I don't have an outro because that takes more time, and I just didn't have it. So, let's look for my screen from my other show, and we'll do the fire on the way out. Thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Y'all come back now.
Y'all come back now, you hear? All right, everybody, have yourself a fine evening. Thank you, and good night.